Now we will hand over to Martijn. Just a moment. And as I explained to you, for Martijn, it's also part of his MSc thesis defense. And as an encouragement, his supervisor also shared some thoughts with us. So Martijn, I'll present those first to you, and then you're free to go. So Eduardo, his supervisor, said Martijn combined his passion for animals with his newly gained GIS knowledge to get additional insights in a relevant and actual environmental issue: the presence of feral cats on the lovely island of Schiermonnikoog. It was wonderful to see Martijn going beyond standard GIS packages by learning enough programming to prepare and analyze his data. He did the full cycle, setting up a research question for understanding nature, deciding which skills he needed, acquiring the skills, going out into the field, collecting the data in a pre-test, again, but now for a real test, analyzing, revisiting his ideas as more knowledge was gained, and reporting it with wonderful geovisualizations. His findings provide a first batch of much needed empirical evidence that will one day help us understand the spatial behavior of the cats and support environmental management, and a new step towards understanding nature. With these words of encouragement, Martijn, I would like to hand over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Also, I want to thank UNIGIS for giving me the opportunity to present my thesis here. And I want to thank Eduardo for his kind words. These were way too kind, of course. And I will take the audience into the spatial ecology of tagged feral cats on Schiermonnikoog. Well, first of all, it's important to understand and explain what a feral cat actually is. Well, actually, it's a house cat that is reverted to a feral state. And in Dutch, we call that verwilderd. Verwilderde katten. A feral cat is independent of any human help, so no shelter or no food at all or whatsoever. It is confused often with this species. It's a Felis sylvestris, or the European wildcat, and it has nothing to do with a feral cat. This, however, is the Felis catus. Scientific name is Felis catus, and this is the domestic cat or the house cat. It approximately sleeps 19 hours a day on a chair, leaves hair behind, and this is not a feral cat. This, however, could be a feral cat. It is difficult because this can also be a house cat just roaming in natural parts. But if this is really independent of any human help, this cat can be a feral cat, possibly feral. So, verwilderde kat. All right, well, I have to present this in 10 minutes, but I will do my best. So what is actually the problem? The problem is that it's not a natural predator in the most parts of the world. This feral cat population has contributed to 40% of the bird, mammal, and reptile extinctions globally. And because these prey have no evolutionary adaptations to this introduced predator. Especially birds on islands do not have evolutionary adaptations because on islands most of the times no ground predator occurs at all. So where humans live, there is actually also feral cats. There are feral cats as well. So with my research, I try to aim for to get insights in which areas are used by feral cats, how they use these areas, and reasons why they use these areas. And actually, this is also the structure of my presentation I'm going to show you. So the study area we chose is Schiermonnikoog. As Niels already mentioned, it's chosen because University of Groningen already did a lot of research on feral cats on this island. Well, it's just one city island, 7 kilometers offshore, and it has well, 3,500 unique natural area with different habitat types. Not sure if you can see my mouse, but this eastern part of the island was focused on during my research. which has a lot of salt marsh. It's called kwelder in Dutch, and dune habitats. All right, well, this is what we did. We placed 28 traps on different locations on the island. We baited those traps with sardines in oil, and we have trapped 10 cats during 2 weekends time. We had to do something with these cats, namely put a tag on these cats. And then in the end we caught 5 male, 5 female, which were 5 adult and 5 subadults. And we had to collect the data, of course, and after these 3 months in which we collected 1 fix per 15 minutes, we had something like this. So a lot of data, a lot of points on the island. All right, so we had to do something with which area is used, and one method to do that is calculate the home range. On home range, this is the definition of a home range. And actually it's nothing more than connecting the outer points of these fixes, the observations or sightings of these animals. In my case, it were GPS fixes, and then this can become a home range. Well, this is very simplistic example, of course. There are many different possibilities to do so, but I used minimum convex polygon 95%, and that is the gray line you see here. And I did it for different temporal scales, so diurnal, nocturnal, daily, and so forth. And the other home range estimator I used is the kernel 95%. And the bandwidth selection is very important there. I used the plugin bandwidth selection, and that is actually the black line you see over here. And this did not work very well with small sample sizes for these three, diurnal, nocturnal, and daily. But if the sample size became bigger, so monthly and 3 monthly and weekly, then it did work quite well. So in total, I calculated 2,500 different home ranges. And this is how it looks then if you put it on together on a nice aerial image. Well, we see a lot of differences. For example, there's hardly any overlap during a nocturnal timescale, and also during a diurnal timescale either. And also difference is that the nocturnal home ranges look bigger than the diurnal ones. Then we have a cat that has very elongated home range. In this 3 months time, for example, this cat had a home range which was 7 kilometers wide. This cat, female cat, was traveling between these 2 core areas over here, so a lot of differences. All right, so but we put it all together, and then we saw, well, there's actually no difference between sexes or age classes. So males do not necessarily have bigger home ranges as females do, but we did see a difference between nocturnal's home range size and diurnal home range size. And because the nocturnal home range was actually bigger than the diurnal one, it was not for 95% coincidence, but I think this is still a good result of a nocturnal home range being bigger than a diurnal home range. All right, so and then the next step was, and this is actually important to remember, that the nocturnal home range is bigger than the diurnal one. The next step is that we want to know how the area is used, and one of those things you can do then is tell something about the circadian activity pattern or the daily activity pattern. So what I did, I calculated distance between 2 fixes, consecutive fixes, and if you do that for the entire data set, then you can calculate average fixes of the distance between these fixes, which is then called displacement. So the average displacement during 50 minutes. Well, and you see then here, this is the night period, and this is a day period, for example. And you see then that during the night they actually have a higher displacement, around 55 meters, than during the day. And this is also significantly different. So this again means that this feral cat is a really nocturnal animal with the most activity during the night. Yes. All right. Well, next step then, how they use area is habitat use. So you can see here that, for example, there are animals that use, let me click away something here. Hide control panel. Yes. All right. You can see here, for example, the striped areas are the salt marshes, so the kwelder in Dutch, and the dotted areas are the dunes. Some cats prefer mostly dunes. So, for example, cat 4 and cat 1 mostly live in the dunes, but cat 2 and 3, for example, they live mainly in salt marsh areas. And these 4 cats at the end, well, they have equal use of both habitats. But because we now know that these cats have a different, are really nocturnal animal, I wanted to compare actually their nightly habitat use compared to the day. So what we did, we randomly selected 600 fixes during from both periods, so both day and night. We compared it with them with a chi-square test, and it showed that 8 cats of the 9 are significantly different. I forgot to tell you actually that one tag was damaged, so in the end my sample size was only 9 cats instead of 10. Yeah, so they have a significantly different habitat use during the day and night. But if you then are going to look at the patterns, you don't really see a clear pattern, but there is actually six cats out of these 9 have used the salt marsh with low herbs and shrub vegetation more during the night. So that's cat 3, you see here. This one is higher, and cat 4, and cat 5, and this cat, and then this cat, and then the last cat as well, cat 9. So I think they used these salt marsh with low vegetation more. But for the rest, I could not find any clear patterns. So in the final part is then the prey, because we want to explain why they use the specific areas during the night. And one of the things was then to go into their prey they have eaten. And for that we have collected a lot of feces, and we counted actually the prey remains in 160 feces. So you can then calculate the volume of prey by counting the prey remains, and in the end the picture looked like this. So they have eaten, their diet consists out of approximately 25% small mammals, 25% birds, and 50% roughly hare and rabbit. So if we put it all together, then we can say that home ranges, but the shapes of the home ranges differ a lot between these individuals. There was no difference between male and female home range sizes, what is expected actually initially. And the nocturnal home ranges are bigger than diurnal home ranges. The displacement again shows that the cats have a more active behavior during the night as during the day. Habitat use, well, it looks like they use short salt marsh vegetation during the night, more as during the day. And a reason why this could be is that, and they eat hare and rabbit mostly. It's a big part of the diet. So I expect that the cats that are nocturnal seem to search for their favorite prey in short vegetation, and favorite prey is then rabbit and hares. Cats, but because all these cats are very unique, it's hard to find patterns with such a small sample size. But anyway, but I think we find many new findings. We have seen many new findings and gathered new knowledge on spatial ecology of these feral cats. So questions has to be asked later, actually answered later. And I wanted to tell you also that this data is freely available for you all. I have a lot of GPS data, of course, from May till September, in 50 minutes. And I did not talk about this, but the tags also collected acceleration data, also from May till September with this specific detail. So 3 minutes, 8.8 seconds sample with 20 hertz per axis. And as you do that, if you publish something with this data, Van Hals should be acknowledged as well. And these are my other acknowledgements. So I think that was it. I hope I'm still in the 10 minutes time frame. And I want to thank you all for listening.
Thanks very much, Martijn. You stuck to time, and your story was very inspiring. So I look forward to posing some questions to you later.